how did this nonprofit begin?
This nonprofit was started with two ladies who met in the church and shared their experience of helping refugees in their different cities where they lived before. They both ended up in Johnson City, Tennessee, through their husband's work, and they both had this passion um, of helping a stranger, of being a good Samaritan, of this humanitarian um, call. So it was in mid 80s that they decided that it would be a great project to help refugees who come to their community, to start new life, to learn more about community, just to have somebody, you know, that can be their mentor, um, support them through navigating American systems. Very soon, they took it very seriously, obviously, because they applied to be part of the federal national program of refugee resettlement with State Department, and they were approved. Now they would get information about family coming ahead of time. So now they would prepare. They would have an apartment ready with the used furniture. They would find churches that were interested to get involved. Everything became more streamlined. I think as they moved for their professional jobs, they also moved to Bridge. So then the main office moved to Knoxville, and Chattanooga was always on the radar. It's just a great community. There was a lot of interest among faith-based communities and community members. So they would come and find a group of people who would be willing to help refugees. And at the beginning, I think the first refugees that were escaping persecution that Bridge got involved in Chattanooga were Vietnamese, several families from Eastern Europe that managed to escape. Um, and then in 96, they opened an office here in Chattanooga. It was one woman show, but it was very effective because of the interest of the community. So this whole story, actually, the most important takeaway, that refugee resettlement only works when community supports you, because really it takes a village.
Began in Knoxville and then came to Chattanooga just because of.
By the community demand, we can say that, because of the interest. I read a lot of, um, at that time, people kept files, who they contacted, and they actually wrote what the conversation was about and when to follow up. So I read a lot of documentation, and the interest in community was huge. Um, we are proud to be Chattanoogans because there are certain features, I think, that are true for this city for a long time. And one of them is hospitality, great values, family values, um, and desire to be involved. Um, this is what drives, I think, Chattanooga forward and what makes it so special.
Yeah, and can you talk about, just expand a little, what you all do for the refugees?
So if you look at our mission, it's very clear actually what we do. Um, our goal is to help people who were persecuted and fled and went through all the vetting and all the necessary steps in this process, which is very lengthy. The average refugee spends 20 years in refugee camp. The average processing for United States is 24 months. I can give you a lot of averages. The average percentage of people who will ever be resettled for a permanent, will have a permanent solution to find a permanent home, is less than 1% of those who are considered refugees. There are 80 million displaced people. 45 of them would qualify for refugee, which means somebody who fled persecution and has a well-based fear for their life. It's a life-saving program. It's very important that I think everybody understands. It's not a choice. Um, it's um, it's it's just a life-saving humanitarian human thing to do. So what we do in broader terms, we meet these people and we set goals with them how to achieve self-sufficiency in a short period of time. Usually we would say 6 to 8 months. You have to learn how to navigate every system, and you have to start working to support yourself. You have to start working and you have to start contributing to your community. So everybody who will resettle wants to be productive, wants to pay back to the country that welcomed them. As I said, these are people that went through traumatic experiences, were severely persecuted, and had very little hope that they will ever find a place where they will be safe. So when it happens, the drive, the motivation, the desire to rebuild life, to go back to normal and to make it really worth it, all the struggles and along the way, is very big.
Yeah, so that kind of leaded into my next question. They go through a lot just where they're at, and then coming here. Like it's a long process. So what are they fleeing from the country? Okay.
Um, the definition of the refugee for this specific program, you have to prove that you have a well-based fear for your life. So they flee persecution, war, political unrest, genocide, because this persecution is based on race, ethnicity, political or social affiliations. Um, in the When you talk to people, you can be of a certain tribe that is targeted. You can be a 14-year-old male, and potentially, you will grow up and will be able to carry arms. So um, the rebel government will come and just to the village and just eliminate all male individuals, no matter. It's really horrific. Um, it can be religion. It can be religion. In a country where we're free to worship the way we feel right, it's hard to imagine that there are Christians that are persecuted. We resettled them here. Protestants, Baptists, Adventist people who would never, ever, we will think that will have any issues. And when I say persecuted, there is a history of um, burning churches or places of worship, killing everybody. Um, People have to pray in um, hiding. People have to make tough decisions. The same goes with race, tribe, ethnicity. So these people flee because they realize that if they stay, um, their life will be in danger.
Can you talk a little bit about your assistant programs, like the employment program and the school?
So first, we want to settle them. We have a lot of cultural orientations where we explain, about um, housing in the United States. We apply for the paperwork, of course. And the first thing that people ask in the airport is always the same: when my children will be able to start school. Because very often they either had a small school, one room school in the refugee camp, or they didn't have any access to education. So we have a special program where we have a designated person who works with local uh, school system very successfully. I have to give credit to Hamilton County schools. They are absolutely amazing. Um, they have designated schools with the English as a second language program. They have very well trained teachers. They also have programs like right now in summer, our children are enrolled in summer school. Not only they're learning, they continue learning English because this is the key to success, of course. So it's also integration, which is important. You can learn the language, you can have an apartment, but if you don't integrate in the community, you don't feel as a you are a part of it, and you are contributing. So this we have a program. Employment program is one of our biggest, and really, I would say, the pillar program for a settlement. People come and they want to work and support their families. They have plans and dreams and aspirations that were put aside for many, many years. And they're very well aware that they have to be self-sufficient and financially stable to get to the point where they can start, checking the list. So we have an employment program and partnerships with a lot of employers in our community. We will prepare people, explain, and orient them to employee relationship, let's say, importance on being on time, rules that none of us really pay attention to, like calling if you're sick a couple of hours before your shift starts. All of this has to be either refreshed, or maybe people had their own business or worked for a small um, for a neighbor, for a small company, or were farmers. They have skills, they have transferable skills, they're very strong and very hardworking people. But all these nuances set them up for success. So it's very important that Bridge takes these steps to orient them, to make sure they understand the environment and function in this environment following all the rules. So our new program is youth mentorship program, and we are so proud that finally we were able to get funding. This program is supported by the Tennessee Office for Refugees. So we run Tech Schools, and Tech Goes Home is our partner. So every refugee, this is our goal. Not yet, but we're almost there. Every refugee who arrives will get training and will get a laptop. So that, and hopefully, and internet. And the laptop we probably will purchase using either private funds, or Tech Goes Home um, allows us to get them for $50. But what is important, that we make sure that they will have either hotspot or access to internet, but most importantly, knowledge. You know how people can learn so much nowadays from electronic device. Um, and you will not believe how many programs are out there for refugees. You can find places where you can get vaccinated. You can find information how to prevent yourself from getting sick. You can follow your child's school curriculum. You can you can do a lot of things if you know how. So this is a big part of what we do, and we have done it, but not to that scale until pandemic started. We do case manage remote. We did remote case management. We taught everybody to use at least. We started with WhatsApp, I think. So FaceTime with clients. We're here. We just cannot enter your apartment. We have a volunteer program where we offer volunteer opportunities to community members. They vary from transportation to, as I said, mentorship for somebody who is pursuing college degree. Um, but most importantly, it's a person who cares about you. It's somebody who is on your speed dial both ways. It's relationship with a community member who wants to support you and understand that it's not easy, but doable. And during pandemic, of course, it was so valuable. Volunteers will write little notes and send them by mail. They will leave very sweet messages on the phones. They understood how scary it should be to come from another country, to come from the situation of war or political unrest, and to come to pandemic situation here. I have to say that all our clients continued working because we realize that all of them are essential workers. You know, I spoke always a lot about how important impact of refugees in our community, and I use the word essential. They're essential for our community. This is very important. It's important on so many levels. And suddenly, everybody, I could say, here we are. We talked about all the positive impact and that refugee bring to our city. Now, how essential they are for diversity, for our children growing up understanding different cultures, different way of worshiping, different way of approaching things, but similar values, similar human feelings. There are more things that we're similar than we are different. And I used the word, and suddenly I said, now they're essential. They're in hospitals, they are on in the grocery stores. We have a lot of clients working at the food processing factories, um, cleaning schools. This is without them, what would we do? And they continued working, never complained. We took all the precaution measures and trainings and a lot of um, orienting and supporting, but our clients were among the people who pulled us through.
Right, and I just wanted to go back because you were talking about volunteering. How can people sign up to volunteer to help out?
Um, we have a website, and it enumerates or names all the volunteer opportunities. You can choose what you're interested in, but you also can, there are so many unique opportunities to volunteer. And sometimes our clients, our volunteers, I mean, our community members tell us what they're good at and what they can contribute. Um, and believe me, we never turn people down. Um, and if you have a great project, if you can, anything that will bring people together, that will um, that will promote integration, will be welcomed. Any project. You can teach computer class, you can teach English, you can help us set an apartment, you can fundraise for us if this is your forte. You can, I don't know, you can take a child to a soccer game or to a soccer practice while, parents don't have an extra car and the father is at work. and the mother is at home with the child, but the boy has a talent. Why not?
Going back to the school, we were talking about schools. How do you guys partner with, UTC in Chattanooga State?
Okay, both are our partners. Um, for Chat State, I would say mainly it is social work department, and they require a couple of hours of internship in the field in the community, and we partner with the students who are trying if they will be good in social work and taking classes. So that's one of our projects. Couple of years ago, we had a project, let's say, with um, Southern University, and it was nursing project where young nurses would come to the family and evaluate their health. They also worked on nutrition and helping family to establish, maybe new foods and new way of feeding their children, because now you when you're a refugee camp, you eat what is available, and it's not a lot. So that was a very cool project. um, uh, of course, social work department at UTC, we always have students that spend 400 credit hours in a year. They are, you know, social workers uh, on the way to become certified social workers. So they work in a partnership with our case managers. And not only first they shadow and follow, and then they have, their own responsibilities. Like a lot of what they do is cultural orientations in different fields, and reviewing and um, just working one-on-one to see what people really need. We are trying to make the services as custom as possible, because people are very different. They come from different places with different level of education, from maybe a farmer with basic literacy to PhD, and members of the government. Anybody can become a refugee. It's such a huge um, variety and of background that people come, but all of them come with something that we can integrate and benefit and work together as a community.
Right. So they come here and they try to live out their, American
Yes.
dream.
Oh, American dream is still alive. I know we tend to talk about negatives. Refugees are very positive people. Everything put after you run for your life, everything is in a different perspective. They're very resilient and very positive about their future. And I'm very blessed that I stayed with this assignment, with this job for so long. So I had to see the accomplishments, and the business owners as they wanted to be. They have their homeowners. Um, their children went to college and got a degree as they dreamt about. And for some people, it's, just to be safe, to have food on the table, to be able to have children, to go to school, um, to have a job that you like, to have a neighbor that you can, invite for dinner, um, to be out and about on 4th of July and watch fireworks. Um, American dream is different for every person. We have refugees going to what we conceive as a prestigious colleges, but many of them are very happy to go to Chet State and then to transfer to UTC, and to never leave Chattanooga, to stay here, to stay close to their parents like they would do in their own country. And this is something maybe what when you observe it has some nostalgic feeling. Maybe we should look into that too, keeping the community, keeping the families together. Um, Very rare they move from house to house. They value, in majority of cultures, neighbors are very important in your relationship, and neighbors become your family. So they stay in the community, always looking for the ways to help in some way or to be of any kind of, value.
Yeah, and you pretty much said what I was going to say. This nonprofit just like it stays with them. They're always going to remember what
Of
whoever like helped them or wrote to them and get through the times. And I just think that's really great.
I think we are very lucky to have it in a small town like ours, to have such a consistent um, support. You can open a nonprofit, but will it have this kind of support for 25, 30 years? Um, I never felt, even in the moments of despair, that the community will not support us. you know um they were always there for us. They always came through for us. And now we just look in the future with hope. And the refugee rhetoric changed so much. There are, we always experienced positivity, but now I see it on a bigger scale, and people starting to understand there is enough for all of us. And this is a unique opportunity for a small but very vibrant city to have diversity, to have this level of humility, to let our children grow up with people from different parts of the world. Our school system, I think I looked at their website, 85 languages. You can only dream of such kind of exposure for your child. What parent wouldn't want that, you know? So um, I look in the future with hope and positivity. And, this is, I think, what ensured longevity for me, that I learned a lot of things about myself um, doing this job and meeting these people. And when I say that I'm honored to do this, I really genuinely mean it.
I just wanted to ask you, you know, why, and I think we've talked about this, but why does Bridge Refugee Services mean so much to you?
I want to do something that has an impact on people's life. And I understand that a lot of jobs have, you know, just a lot of different fields. What you do, what my friends who are doctors, teachers, engineers, people who work in the restaurants, people who work in factories. But I think it means so much because every morning when I wake up, I really want to go to work, and I want to be in this position when I'm a liaison between the life as a refugee and life as a um, American or future American or new American, I would say. And I get to walk along this path, and every time it's different. It's unique for every family, for every person. So when I feel that I know it all, it people humble me because no, you never know, and every person brings something into your life. So I'm very lucky that I passionately love what I do, And believe me, if I didn't, I wouldn't. This is not easy. This is not um, a job that you can do for any other reason other than passion and love for the population, love to learn about different countries of the world. Some of them I have never heard of. I have to take a map and, look at the little Burundi. When we were settled Burundians in 2007, all I knew that they grow coffee in Burundi, but I couldn't even show it on the map. And yes, stories, experiences, um, love. I, it's just a special job.
Yeah, it sounds like a special place to work and a special place just to be a part of, and I love how you talk about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm honest with you. Nothing would keep me doing something that I don't feel that I can make a difference. I really believe that we should leave the world a little better than now. As a mother, as a grandmother, I think about it often, and I wanted my daughter to grow up with community, and she grew up here, and what I want to, what values I want to give to my grandson. Um, these things, important. Maybe not when you're very young, but as you mature, this is pretty much all that matters. How you live your community. Will people ever um, remember you through your deeds, through your actions? I'm not a public person, but it's really pleasant to me to see my clients in Walmart or in the mall or in Coolidge Park, just living their lives. Um, when I started, I would drive people to an appointment, and when they hear the loud noise, they would hide because they thought that it's bombing or explosion. You can't forget that. You can't even fathom how often it had to happen to you and your child that you just automatically, your body knows what to do. Nobody deserves to live like that. So to see them happy and free and fulfilled and full of dreams. Very many people tell me when we start our conversation. So what are your expectations? What are your dreams? What do you want to achieve? They sometimes just tell me it will take some time for me to reassess because half of my life it was to survive today, to survive one day at a time. Um, Same with budgeting. We do financial literacy classes, and people, I have never had money more than one day worth for food or not. So all these big ideas that I will save and buy a house and buy a second car, that I will pay for my child's education. It's just, it was not something I thought about for last 20 years. So, I'm glad that we're there for them. And also, they show us that people really can live with very little if they have their family, if they're together, if everybody, is in a more or less good health and alive, if they manage to get themselves to safety, they consider themselves very happy and very lucky.
You just love this, and it makes what I do just so much like more fun, and it makes me happy to see people like you like happy about it, and then happy to spread the word like, hey, this is here. You want to volunteer? Please do.
I think, yes, it's a it's a worthy cause. It's something that everybody should experience on the level they can afford time wise. But experience definitely, definitely. I'm very happy that your generation um, has open arms and open heart for different people. This is wonderful. I'm very proud of your generation and of you personally. You know,
Oh, thank you. I'm gonna cry.
no, no,
Thank
no.
you.
I am older, so I lived through different times. I always believed what I believed, but it was a little more complicated to find. Let's say, I don't expect anybody from your generation not to support our mission.
Hmm.
It just never crosses my mind that you wouldn't, because because you're the future, you will make things right, even those that were not done right. I love the um, move to diversity and inclusion and equity, and when we always dreamt about it, but I think you will be the ones who will accomplish it.
Yeah, I
So
hope we are. I think we will be too. So
I think so. No, I see it. I can see it. I can see it.